on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, in this video, I'm going to be doing something a little different than I normally do, especially with recently me doing a ton of informative videos. You guys might remember, at least if you've been a long-time viewer of the channel, that not too long ago I did a video titled I'm going to paraphrase the title because I can't remember it word for word off the top of my head. But I did a video talking about 3 calibers that people claim are dead, but I disagree with. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about 3 calibers that I believe are dead and why I believe so. So, for starters, let's start off with, we're going to go from the smallest bullet to the largest bullet. Why not? You know, for starters, 25 ACP. The 25 ACP cartridge is pretty much non-existent in a majority of gun stores. You will not be able to find 25 ACP at your average gun store. More likely than not, to be honest, you will probably have to, order it online, or maybe you might find some at a really, really low-end pawn shop that doesn't sell that much ammo and have 25 ACP from years ago. Overall, the number of firearms chambered in 25 ACP have dropped exponentially throughout the years, and it makes perfect sense as to why. The round itself really isn't that helpful, especially considering a majority of firearms that are chambered in that round are around this size. They're not that large of handguns. And no, I'm not referring to length, including a slide. I'm just referring to like the base or the grip to the top of the slide. But besides the point that I'm getting at is that 25 ACP, not a very powerful round. You don't get a good capacity out of it because the firearms are extremely small themselves. The fact that they are so small means a majority of people can't get a proper grip on them to hold them. So it just feels like the gun is going to come out of your hand, even though it's a very light recoil round. And not to mention, the round is pretty much non-existent when it comes to any sort of finding online. When it comes to searching for ammunition, finding 25 ACP is going to be kind of a pain, especially if you're trying to find it at a good cost. Moving on, though, from 25 ACP onto 32 ACP. 32 ACP is another caliber created by John Moses Browning, just like the 25 ACP and the 45 ACP both are. 32, I can truthfully only say there is one firearm that I would say, okay, you know what? Maybe there are 2 firearms. 2. My apologies. You got James Bond's gun, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the Walther PPK. I'm going to go ahead and look that up and see if I'm mistaken or not on that. But the whole point that I'm getting at is that, if I'm not mistaken, the original James Bond gun was chambered in 32 ACP. And then you have the VZ Scorpion, I believe it is. The Scorpion SMG, that's also chambered in 32 ACP. Those are pretty much the only 2 firearms that I could picture ever owning in my lifetime chambered in 32 ACP. And that's simply due to the fact that one of them was James Bond's gun, and the other one is the VZ Scorpion. 32 is very hard to come across. It is not cheap when you do come across it. A majority of gun stores will not have it. You might find some luck finding them again at small end pawn shops, maybe even some gun shows. But 32 is not making a comeback anytime soon. There aren't any new 32 ACP firearms none that I have seen, at least, that have been released recently. The number of 32 ACP firearms that are being manufactured overall has dropped significantly throughout the years, just like we've seen with 25 ACP. So, I mean, in the end, and keep in mind, guys, 32 ACP guns are still extremely small, still don't hold that great of a capacity. I named one exception, actually, to the rule that they don't hold a good capacity, and it's because it's a SMG, it's a submachine gun. That's a very different situation, I would say. I don't think we can hold that to the same standard as you would your typical 32 ACP pistol. Moving on, though, from 32, last but not least, this is going to be this might be the most controversial one out of the 3. That's why I saved it for last, and it happens to also have the largest projectile out of it, so, it kind of works. And that is the 357 SIG round. If somebody thought I was going to say 357 Magnum, you know you're out of your mind. But the 357 SIG round. So some of you guys might not be too familiar with 357 SIG. It essentially is a round that was supposed to at least be able to imitate the ballistics of the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge, while still being a smaller projectile. However, in the end, it just ended up dying off on its own. It's weird. People were hyped about the round for a little bit. They were excited to see what was going on with 357 SIG, and it just died off. It just died off. Now, if you're looking for a firearm chambered in 357 SIG that you can probably still get today, if I'm not mistaken, the Glock 32 would be your best bet. If I'm not mistaken, the Glock Model 32 is chambered in 357 SIG, and it's the same size as the 19 or the 23. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that, because it's been a while since I've, went autistic and studied every single Glock model. It's been a good while. 357 SIG is interesting because of the fact that there's nothing wrong with it in the sense of capacity. There's nothing wrong with it in the sense of the ballistics that it can do, or the damage that it can perform, or even just the capability of protecting yourself. It just kind of died off. And I mean, there was a bit of a revival there for a little bit when there was that church shooting and that guy jumped up and just head tapped the shooter. And, that he did that with his 357 SIG. And that kind of, gave 357 SIG the jump start again. But it, again, just kind of died off throughout the years. And it's real funny that I'm making this video. Quick little story time. Keep in mind, guys, I've been working at a range for about the last 6 months now. And for about the last half a year, I have been working at a range. And yesterday, while cleaning, was the first time ever I have found a 357 SIG casing. That in 6 months' time at my range, I have not seen anybody other than one person shoot 357 SIG in 6 months' time. I've seen people shoot 500 Magnum more than 357 SIG. I've seen people shoot 44 Magnum more than 357 SIG. I've seen people shoot 10 mil. Well, 10 mil is kind of obvious. It's a more, widely produced round. But my whole point, I've seen more people shoot 25 and 32 at my range than I have seen people shoot 357 SIG. That's how dead 357 SIG became. Yesterday was the first time I ever seen a 357 SIG casing at the range I work at. So it's not like 357 SIG is a bad round by any means. It just died off. And it's weird because, in my opinion, it had a harder fall off than the other two rounds previously mentioned. It fell off worse than 32 ACP could have. It fell off worse than 25 ACP could have, which makes no sense to me. Now, am I a huge fan of the 357 SIG round? No, not really, but I also don't have a ton of experience with it. Why? Because it's a dead caliber. The number of firearms that are chambered in 357 SIG, it's just not a great number. It really isn't. And they're not being mass manufactured anymore, which means that if you can find one, cool. If not, hey, whatever. You know what I mean? 357 SIG isn't my biggest concern. But with that being said, I think that about wraps it up for this video. I don't want to keep going in circles here, but I just want to say again, it is mind-blowing to me that out of the 3 rounds mentioned in this video, that the 357 SIG was the one who fell off the hardest. It just blows my mind because I'm just realizing this while recording this video. But with that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all in. Whether or not you agree with me about my thoughts on these 3 calibers, whether or not they're dead. Again, I will say it. The 25 ACP round, the 32 ACP round, and the 357 SIG round, all 3 of them are just dead calibers at this point. You might find a couple of guns chambered in them here and there. You might find a box or 2 of ammo here and there. But other than that, that's really it. It is a dead caliber, and even the manufacturing numbers prove it. But with that being said, whether or not you agree with me, go ahead and comment down below. Make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.